What is it about coffee and tea that instantly creates an atmosphere for connecting? A safe space for discussing ideas, culture, world news, theoretical circumstances, and hopes for the future. The drinks can leave us stimulated or calm, yet somehow less inhibited, comforted. These drinks have always been more than a beverage for me. I couldn't explain it when I was younger, but as I began to travel and meet people from vastly different cultures, I began to wonder if coffee and tea are as deeply rooted into society as they are for me. So I set off on a journey to see if my hypothesis was true, approaching the matter to better understand humanity as a whole, to better understand what it is that links us all together across different backgrounds, communities, and cultures. Could it be that we are all connected? And could it be that we are all connected through a common cup? I love coffee, and I like tea, but I live for those moments shared between a cup. There's a beautiful quote by Norwegian ethnologist Thor Heyerdahl that says, "Progress is man's ability to complicate simplicity." I'm not here to complicate coffee or tea because there is beauty in its simplicity. However, so many of us in today's society take these simple acts for granted. And so many of us are looking for real, genuine moments of connection. I think that coffee and tea are ways to connect with our own self, to connect with others. They're ways to connect to our heritage, to our ancestors. And I'd like to think that some form of progress comes from the simple act of sharing a coffee or tea with someone. My coffee journey before this had really been confined to cafes. But in order to understand how coffee played a role as this cultural phenomenon, I wanted to talk to the people at the source of it all. I wanted to understand coffee better as a crop, its role in the environment, and I wanted to see how coffee shaped a community.
Coffee is more than just coffee. Coffee is part of a culture. Coffee is part of hopes, family and community goals. Coffee in Costa Rica is also part of our economic democracy because coffee provided economic opportunity for thousands and thousands of small farmers in Costa Rica for many years. And coffee is today a good opportunity to do education about sustainability. Mm-hmm. And coffee is a great drink.
Exactly.
Coffee provided the economy for all of my family. So today, my father, he's still alive. My mom already died. But working in a coffee field takes me very positive memories of my childhood, working with my brothers and sisters in the same farm, working with my parents. Coffee is also a kind of crop and activity that provides opportunities for small-scale farmers around the world. So I like those kind of crops. Coffee is, in the way we do coffee here in Costa Rica, is not a monocrop. If you go around most of the small coffee farmers, and we are more than 50,000 in Costa Rica, you will see that we integrate coffee with bananas, with plantain, with oranges, with avocados, with some chickens, with goats. So coffee is a kind of crop that, in the way we do, is integrated with different activities in the farm. And I like this because I grew up in the tropical rainforest. And what is natural to this forest is biodiversity. So I like looking at our crops integrated with the rest of the environment.
Las épocas difíciles son la variación del clima y algunas enfermedades que se dan en el cultivo del café, como la roya y el colgallo principalmente. Y en el último año, la broca del café.
When we talk about conservation and sustainability, most of what you see today in Monteverde, which is positive for the community, positive for the environment, is because of the work of the local community. So a way to think about as a community is, even when protecting the environment, is not only protecting what is inside the borders of the farm. Our farm is environmentally connected with other farms. So, for example, day after tomorrow, we will be planting trees, native trees, in a different farm. And we are not charging the owner of this farm for doing this project, because we understand that the forest in their farm and the forest in our farm is connected, and we need to strengthen the connections between different forests.
This is where it becomes very important that what we produce, or the production we have, be as careful with the environment as possible. And in recent years, more and more interest in not only producing a good quality coffee, but also protecting the environment as the coffee is produced. Right. And in that aspect, our farm, Barsan Farm, with Café Monteverde and with Life program, we have put very special attention to that. And I would say that's one of the things that distinguishes Café Monteverde, is in having a system that looks for sustainability in the long term.
A ver, esta pequeñita.
¿Quién va contando?
Most of visitors, most of the students, they connect sustainability with preserving the environment, preserving the forest, preserving the great biodiversity we have here in the cloud forest, protecting the water, reducing our use of pesticides. But in order to be sustainable, as a farmer, as a community, as a country, we also have to address social and economic issues. And so sustainability is also about social responsibility, which means that we provide, as possible, the best wages for the workers. We provide them training support. We provide them a house where to stay, because in Costa Rica, the reality is that many coffee pickers are coming from Nicaragua. Mm-hmm. They are migrants, so they need a place where to live. We provide them, in case they want to, land if they want to grow some food while staying in Costa Rica, because they stay here 3 to 4 months. We have to do the best in what we have some control, our farm, our community. But today we have to ask all those connected in the coffee chain, from the bean to the cup, to be aware about the great responsibility we have today to save a life for the future generations. It is not fair to just enjoy life yourself as individual if you understand that the community, the country, the planet is asking for humans to recuperate the environment. So I would like people, when buying coffee, for example, to check if that coffee supports the environment, if that coffee is really supporting life in this planet. So the taste of the coffee is more than just about quality. It's about the environmental and social responsibility that this coffee is providing.
The prominence of coffee in today's society is apparent everywhere. But in my experience, I could think of no place better in the world that has so much emphasis on coffee and coffee culture than Italy. I mean, Italians are espresso. Buongiorno, come stai? Vorrei un caffè espresso, per favore? €1, grazie. Ok, grazie.
The first thing you offer someone is coffee. In Italy, you wake up, have a coffee. Then you go downstairs an hour later, have another coffee. Then you go meet up for a friend, have another espresso pretty much. Then you go have lunch, then a coffee. Then an hour later, another one. Like we were talking with the owner inside, 10 to 15 coffees a day he drinks. When I was 18, I did a study abroad program in Urbino, which is a little small Renaissance town in the middle of the mountains. And I fell in love with it so much that I decided I wanted to move back at any cost, no matter what I had to do, any kind of work. And I did one more semester in Florida, and then I came back when I was 19. I ended up doing a year in Bologna, a year in Paris, a year in Amsterdam, 4 years in Rome, 5 years in Russia, and I've been back around 5 years in Rome now. And it's the passion of the city that I have for history and for the architecture. It's just something that doesn't go away. It stays with you. It's a very interesting story, and most people don't know that coffee almost didn't make it in Italy. In the 16th century, Venice was a huge trader with the Arab world. And so what happened is, from Egypt, they got these coffee beans, and they started brewing coffee, and it became something very popular in Venice. They realized this drink was diabolical. Why was it? Something mysterious inside was making everyone so hyper and concentrated. So I thought, not very Christian, not good. So finally, the Pope at the time, Clement VIII, at the end of the 16th century, said, let me check this out. So he went and tasted it, and he decided it's okay. And the second he gave his okay, it exploded all across Europe. The whole idea of actual coffee. So coffee houses sprung up, not only in Italy, but across, obviously because of Christianity, across the entire European continent.
After sharing a coffee with Brandon from the Roman Guy, I had a better knowledge of the history of coffee houses in Italy. Once he mentioned Venice being the first city in Italy to truly embrace coffee by providing a coffee house to enjoy the drink, it wasn't enough to simply hear about the history of coffee culture in Venice. I had to see it for myself. Which led me to the oldest cafe in Europe, built in 1720, to see history, tradition, and coffee culture upheld and celebrated.
Allora, il caffè Florian è uno dei più antichi caffè del mondo. Venire qua significa fare un viaggio nella storia, è come entrare in un museo. La tradizione in questo senso del caffè Florian è antichissima. Quando Floriano Francesconi lo apre nel 1720 è proprio la personalità di questo grande caffettiere che fa sì che questo diventi il caffè più frequentato, e questa tradizione è rimasta perché assolutamente noi abbiamo motivo di pensare che questo sia il luogo dove l'accoglienza è totale, c'è un rapporto dialettico, visti i tempi, assolutamente importante con la gente che lo frequenta. E la cosa più importante è che qui puoi recuperare il tempo, puoi stare in relax totale, e questa è la cosa più bella, visto che al giorno d'oggi si vive freneticamente. Un po' difficile da tradurre, ma... Caffè Florian è il salotto buono di Venezia, e Venezia è sempre stata una città accogliente. Noi da sempre una delle cose che ci contraddistinguono è il senso dell'ospitalità. A volte entrano dei giovani che non hanno i soldi per bere un caffè al Caffè Florian, entrano, guardano, girano e noi li lasciamo fare, perché il Florian non è solo patrimonio nostro, ma è patrimonio dell'umanità, come questa città. Effettivamente è così. Io dico a tutti che oggi per parlare si usa Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Per secoli questo è stato Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, perché era il vero modo di relazionarsi con la gente, e a Venezia non ci sono le automobili, quindi le relazioni umane sono molto più facili. Allora si dice: vieni a bere un caffè, andiamo, e qua quotidianamente ci sono rapporti tra persone sociali, anche storie d'amore, perché se tu fai così, ascolti, Casanova sta girando nell'aria e ci parla nell'orecchio e ci dice: vai al Florian, perché là l'amore, nasce l'amore. Molte storie d'amore sono nate per Florian. Dicono che baciarsi al Florian porti bene, e io ho molti episodi che possono confermare la mia teoria.
In the morning when I wake up, the first things I have to drink is coffee. Think about that coffee is all over the world. So people can have at the same time millions of coffee, in their hands. So the connection is that so many people is drinking coffee at the same time. And a different way, of course, because in Italy mostly it's espresso with a coffee machine, but in Turkey they have Turkey coffee, America they have their kind of coffee, which is the Americans. But the connection to me is that one, to have at the same time people drinking coffee.
Prima tazza di caffè.
La ricordo perfettamente perché avevo 9 anni e io andavo a casa, sentivo il profumo del caffè. Mia nonna non voleva darmi il caffè, mi dava l'orzo e diceva perché il caffè fa male ai bambini. Allora, arrivato a 9 anni è stata una sorta di iniziazione all'adolescenza. Quindi il caffè è stato il tramite per diventare grandi, adulti. Nel momento in cui me l'hanno dato, io ho detto sono diventato un uomo. 2 tazze unite mi fanno pensare che il caffè è sempre uno strumento per stare assieme, di convivialità, di amore verso la vita e soprattutto di un momento di una parentesi di relax di 2 persone che finalmente non si parlano attraverso uno strumento tecnico, attraverso un telefono, ma si parlano davanti.
Even in makeshift communities and short-term lifestyles, we see that coffee and tea, sharing those moments together, connecting, are vital components to everyday life. When I think of my time climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, I think of those morning coffees shared with the porters and my team, and those evening teas that were just an integral part of everyday life on the mountain.
I've been working as a guide for now 15 years. I like Lemosho and Machame route because normally you face different challenges every day. If you take a longer day, like 7 days, it's better because you give the body time to acclimatize. But sometimes if you take shorter days, it's harder because you don't have enough time to give the body time to acclimatize. So sometimes it's harder for the clients also. Hiking to the summit. Normally you are tired, you feel dizzy, you feel sleepy, you feel cold. So those combination makes the harder. But normally after you get to the summit, you feel like you receive a new energy and then you become happy again.
Nikiamka asubuhi, mimi ni pota, alafu ni waiter. Ninaamsha wageni asubuhi, hapo maji ya kunawa. Baada ya hapo wanakunywa na hapa breakfast. Baada ya breakfast ninaandaa mzigo wangu, ninafunga, naondoka kempu moja kwenda nyingine. Mahusiano ni mazuri, tunashirikiana pamoja kufanya kazi, ni marafiki wa karibu. Ndio maana tunakuwa katika safari pamoja. Kinachonivutia kufanya kazi mlimani, kwanza kabisa kwamba ni kupata hela. Na baada ya kupata hela inanisaidia kwa ajili ya kuendesha maisha yangu na familia.
Mahusiano ni mazuri kwa sababu wote ni timu moja na tunapendana. Hata wenzetu tunapokutana njiani, labda mwenzako amepata na tatizo, tunasaidiana, tunapambana. Wakati wa kazi yangu inapokuwa ngumu ni wakati wa mvua nyingi, mvua zinavyonyesha, kwa sababu unafika kempu, ukifika kempu hali umelowana, hema zimeloa, kwa hiyo mazingira yanakuwa magumu sana. Wakati ninakuwa na furaha, wakati afya yangu iko ni nzuri na hali ya kimaisha, pesa na maisha yakiwa mazuri, nikiwa na hali ya yani na mahitaji yangu yote, naona hali yangu itakuwa nzuri, inakuwa nafuu.
Wakati wote mimi nakuwa na furaha zaidi pale ambako kwamba ninatimiza kile ambacho nakifanya. Mfano kama siku ya kumaliza kazi, siku nakuwa na furaha kupita siku ambayo nimeanza kazi.
Sehemu ngumu ipo wakati unakuta saa ingine kama vitu vingine havina maji, kwa hiyo tunapata maji kwa shida. Mahusiano ni mazuri kwa sababu tunashirikiana kwa pamoja. Ukipatwa na tatizo tunasaidiana. Napata furaha wakati unakuta tunapofanya kazi kama hizi. Nakuta kampuni zingine kama hii ya kwetu ambayo tuko nayo, tunafuraha kwa sababu nakuta kampuni yetu inamwambia mgeni $10 kwa siku mpaka 15. Kwa hiyo tunapata furaha, tukipata na riziki pia tunafurahi.
The first time I was 16. It was a school trip. I remember it was really hard for me. Yeah, we were doing Marango route. It was really hard for me. I remember. So now I can imagine some of the clients, how they feel during their first time. I do this about 28 to 32 times a year. So normally 2 or 3 times a month. So it's many times to the summit. I don't even remember.
I want to introduce you to the man behind the tent who's been doing all of my cooking, and he's been making an amazing food, chakulatam. Right here, Daniel. Okay. Danny, we call him. Tam sana, Danny.
Ninapendelea kahawa. Kinywa kahawa najisikia vizuri, tofauti na kunywa chai ya kahawa ya majani.
I like to have a coffee with the client up here the mountain because cold, and having coffee, that's my favorite. Coffee helps a lot. First, they keeps warm from the coffee, and then the warm sometimes like they boost. It's boosting the body, like to get acclimatized also to the heat. Yeah, will help.
The role of connecting with a coffee or a tea is pretty apparent at this point, but it begs the question, has coffee always been a social drink? And to better understand this, I had to go to the birthplace, the origin of coffee.
ለእርሶ ቡና ምንድን ነው?
እኔ አሁን ቡና በጣም ነው የምወደው። ቡናውንም ጫካው እነዚህ እንጨቶቹን በጣም ነው የምወደው። ለቡናም ውበት የሚሰጠው ጣዕም የሚሰጡት እነዚህ ያሉት ዛፎች ናቸው። በጣም ጠቃሚ የሆኑት ዛፎቹ አሉ። ቡናም ደግሞ ሕይወታችን ነው። የሀገራችን ስም ቡና አገራችን ተብላ ከፋ የምትጠራ በቡና ስለሆነች እንዳያችሁት እንግዲህ ጫካ ሁሉ እንግዲህ ቡና ነው። ተፈጥሮ ቡናዎቹም ትክል ቡናዎቹም እውነት የቡና አገር ናት ከፋ እና ለዚህ በጣም ወዳታለሁ። አገሬንም ወዳለሁ፣ ቡናቷንም ወዳለሁ። ከባዱ እንግዲህ አሁን ለቀማ ወቅት ይከብዳል። የሰው ኃይል ያንሳል። ምንጣሩ እንዳያችሁት እንግዲህ ውስጡን እንግዲህ ለለቀማ ተብሎ ውስጡ መመንጠር አለበት። በአመት 3 ጊዜ በግድ መመንጠር አለበት። ይሄ አሁን ብዙ ወጪ ነው እንግዲህ የሚወጣ። ብዙ ወጪ ከወጣ በኋላ ነው ይሄ ገና ተለቅሞ ውጤታማ የምንሆነው። እኔ አሁን በእውነት ብዙ ነው የምመክራቸው ለእነዚህ ለህፃናትም ሆነ ለአዋቆቹ ቡና እንዲተክሉ በእንክብካቤ እንዲይዙ ደግሞ ቡና እንዳይሸመጠጥ አንዳንድ የሀገራችን ውጤት ስለሆነ አንዳንድ ፍሬ እንዲለቅሙ እነግራቸዋለሁ። ከዚህ በፊትም በኃላፊነት ስለሚሰራ ስብሰባ ላይም በግልጽ ነው የምናገረው። በግልም እናገራለሁ። ስብሰባ ላይም ተነስቼ ሀሳብ እሰጣለሁ። ቡና በጥራት እንዲያዝ እንዳይሸመጠጥ ደግሞ በውስጡ ከብት ምናምን ገብቶ ቡናው እንዳይበላሽ ብዬ መክራቸዋለሁ። በእውነት እኔ ማስተላለፍ ወደው እንግዲህ አሁን ቡናችን ለቅመን ያው ለውጪ ነው በዩኔን አማካይነት የምንሰደው። ቀይ ቡና ለዩኔኑ ነው እናስረክበው። እንግዲህ አሁን ቡናቷም ደግሞ የሀገራችን ውጤት ስለሆነች የሀገሪቷ ስም ስለሆነ ቡና ማገኛ አገር ስለሆነች ቡናችን በጥሩ ሁኔታ ደግሞ ውጪ ያሉትም ቡናችን ጥራት ያለ ቡና ስለሆነ ቡናችን እንዲገዙ ዋጋችን ደግሞ የወደቀ ዋጋችን ከፍ ብሎ ቡና እንዲሸጥና ደህና ዋጋ እንድናገኝ ይሄ ተፈጥሮ ደናችን ደግሞ የመንግስትም የማንም መንግስት ያልሆነ መንግስትም እርዳታ ምናምን አድርጎ ይሄ ያሉት ደኖቹ በእንክብካቤ እንዲያዙና እንዲጠበቁ ከኛ ቀርቶ ለልጆቻችን ጥሩ ያዝነው ቡናችን ጥሩ ያዝነው ጫካችን አባታችን ያሰረከቡት እነዚህ ልጆቻችን ደግሞ ከኛ ተረክቦ ጥሩ አድርጎ ጠብቆ ለአገሪቷ መጨረሻ ግቧ ላይ እንዲመታ ይሄንን ማስተላለፍ ወዳለሁ። ለዚህ ያሉት ሰዎችም ሆነ ለሌላ ለሚሰማ ይሄ በጥሩ ሁኔታ እንዲጠበቅ ደግሞ አገራችን ውስጥ በከፋ ውስጥ ያለው ቡና ብቻ አይደለም፣ በጫካ የተያዘች ናት። ደህና በጫካ ውስጥ የሚሄዱት ደህና ወንዞች አሉ፣ ፏፏቴዎች አሉ፣ ሌላ ቅርሶቹ እኛ ከፋ ውስጥ ስላሉ ብዙ የታዩት ነገሮች ስላሉ ይሄንን ማንም መጥቶ ውጭ ያሉትም ሆነ ኢትዮጵያዊ ይሄንን አይቶ እንዲደሰት ይሄንን ጥሬን አስተላልፋለሁ።
You told me before that they harvest from the top. what happens when the beans drop?
Yeah, mostly, actually it's difficult to harvest coffee from the wild because it's very long and it has very
Tall.
So most of the time they are using, first of all they clear the ground.
Okay.
And they put like something on the ground and they are waiting until it's dropped down. And sometimes the kids climb up and collect. Actually it is risky for them, difficult to harvest from the wild.
Igor, Galeto. Galeto.
Tamara beta?
Yeah.
Mami chino?
With the necklace.
She's quick.
Cafe, benega fun tachget.
Yes. Buno mazion. Matza shukion. Arso tamasyo. Ando tamidaro gedon kasara buno matza shukion. Shuki anse midaro gedda kesa westino kasara anse masta midaro gedda gawa anse kindan ma shuki ane ake gesto ane muna question la ta dusto mune kondo kodia. Estan no.
Vai. Washa.
በቃ ማዳን ነው ለነው በቤተሰብ ወመን ጉፈጋታ ቡኖ ወደጋ ከዚህ ነው እቸው ቢሻ ጉሲ ነው እቸው ቤተሰብ ሆነ ሶና ማዳ ጉቶ ነው እቸው ከመን እቸው ይከሄዎቹ በቃ ህይወት አውደውት ነው እቸው ማዳ ጉፈ አድረሳቶ ጉፈ ከብነላ
I came to witness the ethnology of coffee, where it all began. But I ended up gaining a new community. No longer observing from the outside, but I was thrown into the middle of it all. I am sure that the coffee culture has sustained from the quality of the coffee in Ethiopia. But I am now sure, more than ever, that it is the people of Ethiopia who make their coffee not just a drink, but a lifestyle.
እንትን እናደርጋለን
ያው ለማየት
የምታደርጊውን
ውፍረቱን ቅጥነቱን ለማየት ነው እንደዚህ
አዎ
ሲፈላ ቡናው መወፈር መቅጠኑን ያው በማየት ከለየው በኋላ ከዛ በኋላ ሲበስል አቅርቤ ቀዳለሁ ከዛ አቦል ቶና በረካ ያው አፈላለሁ ጨርሳለሁ ማለት ነው ከዛ ይቡል
She boils the coffee 3 times. The first one is known as abol. And abol is the best coffee, of course. And then she boils it again and then serve it. And the second one is called tona. And the one that shows the end of the coffee ceremony is the baraka. After you drink the baraka, the coffee ceremony ends, and then everyone bless each other as you have seen earlier, and then separate to their own house. That's how the process goes.
The correlation of 3 rounds being a way to share coffee is so interesting because historically in Moroccan culture, tea or ate is enjoyed in 3 rounds. The first is as bitter as life, the second is as strong as love, and the third is as soothing as death. In culture, an invitation to drink tea is a truly meaningful act of hospitality and friendship. Drinking tea is a savored, sedentary experience.
Tea means a form of hospitality, but also tea is usually enjoyed together with family or friends. At your home, when you need to host somebody or a friend, you have to welcome it with a cup of tea.
الصحة والراحة أفريقيا بارك وبمروي هذا بموش زوار ننتقفى أرض نتركين نيامن حمانين دست قتمان دست خوتي فراون تقات قفا ياتن الصاعين فينا يتكست خوتي يعني محل كاز ترارت تكستيت تتسنع ناس القلب.
The Berber people today are descendants of the indigenous pre-Arab inhabitants of northern Africa. Throughout history, Berbers have been nomadic people. However, today most Berber families are farmers, traders, shop owners, or they work in tourism.
Before we live in the desert in the middle of Sahara, before border of Algeria, and you move to here, to the village, and now we live here.
And you primarily work with tourists?
Yes.
That come here?
Yeah, we work in the Campania.
And while Morocco's official languages are Arabic and Berber Amazigh, many of the Berber families I talk to voice their concerns about the historical language fading in the new generation, since many teens and young adults are learning English, Spanish, and French instead of their Berber Amazigh language. I was fortunate enough to be welcomed into many Berber homes in the Sahara during my stay. And while I only picked up a few words and phrases to say in Amazigh, I can attest for the kindness and hospitality shown by the people of Morocco.
مرحبا ويلكم.
I was told that the desert is one of nature's greatest healers. I was advised during my stay to be open to the Sahara because it has the ability to make one vibrate with happiness, to be humbled, and to find answers if we let it resonate within us. I understood these words the minute I walked barefoot in the dunes, and I watched the sunset on my first night in the Sahara. And I was shown a glimpse of my own roots the night we built a fire under the new moon in the cold sand, and I felt that I was meant to be right there, curled up against my camel Jimmy, listening to the traditional songs being sung, and dancing to the drums as the night went on. While coffee had always been the root of connecting for me, I knew that tea culture and tea traditions really provided a way for people around the world to concentrate, create, and connect. To stop on our journey to Ranaket, and we all got to sit here with Ama and Bula and Didi and Sabula. You know, we just stopped and she just offered us tea, so that was such a neat way for us to all interact together and to sit down. And I mean, who else does that on the side of the road? You just come up and you're like, would you like some tea? Like some chai? So, dhanyavad, Amma. While staying as a guest for a couple of nights at the Satkal Himalayan ashram in the shadows of the Himalayas, we were generously invited over for tea by Mandana. Mandana was born in Iran and has found an incredible amount of peace here in India while raising her family. The proximity to the ashram also plays a role in her daily meditation.
I grew up in the most unsafe place in the world. So for me, India has been the most safe place that I could ever imagine. I lived in Canada also for years, and then when we moved here, I remember the first time I heard a big sound outside my window. I don't know if it was a tire that got punctured or what it was. Normally I would jump, because we've had wars in my country, we've had missiles, we've had bombs, I've experienced all of them. But this was the first time that I did not jump, because I knew I'm in a safe place, and whatever that sound was is not going to affect me. I believe that if you think positive and you have all the positive intentions, everything positive happens. And if something sometimes goes wrong, that's also because something positive is to come out of that experience.
Traditional Iranian way. We make it really dark, and then we loosen it up with, I haven't used this for so long. Oh, good. So it's all about the color.
There's a lot of negative energy out there that's going on. A lot of wars, a lot of things to be worried about. But what I try to do is to change myself and be a positive person, be a open-hearted person. Just try to be a human, you know, and hopefully reach the destination, which is becoming a divine human, like my guru has done, his guru has done, you know. It's just, any of us can do it. It's just you have to have a goal and work towards it. And I think the more people think, like-minded people think like that, they do like that, they work on it to become better human beings, work on this positive energy. We have prayers, we have different features to our meditation. We work for, eventually we work for world peace. We can. It's just more people wanting to meditate, more people wanting to become peaceful, then the outcome will be different. There's such a sense of lightness. Even if you, in a half an hour meditation, you manage to go in deep in that place where it's very quiet. There's awareness, but you're not really aware of your surrounding. So maybe best is to say there's consciousness. You touch that. So even if it's for 2 minutes, when you come out of the meditation, you feel so revived, so rejuvenated. You know, for me, like Sunday when I met you guys, I came home with so much energy because of that 1 hour meditation that I did in the morning. Whereas if I miss it, it's totally different. It's like a night where you sleep so late and the next day you're kind of, you know, low on energy. So if you have a good meditation in the morning, after that you feel full of energy. So I think what helps is to be an empty cup and see what it's going to fill you up with. no expectations, so there will be no disappointments. And that's the definition of peace. Accept everything that comes your way as a divine blessing.
Chai. Chai.
Chai has a dominant role in India's history and economy, but it is also a large aspect of the culture as a social event, a social aspect that crosses socioeconomic backgrounds, and it is used as an extension of hospitality and friendship.
कोई ठहरा नहीं घर में, घर वाले वहाँ गए हैं कांडा इंजेक्शन लगाने के लिए, वो भी बीमार है। अब मेरा ये हाल काम नहीं कर रहा है, ये भी नहीं कर रहा है। ये देखिए ऐसी आदत है कि क्या कहो, गरीबी ऐसी तरह है, तो रोटी खाने के लिए नहीं मिला, क्या कहें।
I came upon his house, and I'm a stranger, and he just wants to be able to offer something, to connect and to make me feel comfortable, and that's offering a chai. And I think that is just so special for him to be able to offer me something to drink and you know, and to want to do that, but he's not able to, and for that, dhanyavad Prabhuji, dhanyavad. I witnessed the significance of tea daily throughout my stay. I began to crave those moments when none of us spoke the same language, but we understood each other over a cup of chai. At this point, tea as a sacred tradition really called to me. I had to learn more. I wanted to better understand how people connect to themselves, connect to nature, connect to others through tea. And to better understand this, I also wanted to see what tea means to someone whose whole life revolves around the leaf.
The tea ceremony was perfected about 450 years ago, and it's yes amazing that for over 4 centuries we still do the same thing, and it was like a Zen monks, like a kind of like training, and then this was created so that everyone could enjoy this tea making. All the movement is very slow, and we're just watching it. Not only the person who does it, even when you are just watching, it really slows down the pace, you know. And in the end, you may like maybe breathe together, you know, in the same way. And so about 10 minutes of making 1 cup of tea, you become just quiet, and you don't think anything but just watch someone who makes tea. In fact, that's actually quite rare things to do, especially these days. You have the smartphone, you have the internet everywhere. You always have to do something all the time. But the tea ceremony allows you not to do anything, but just focus on one thing so that you can feel just calm. As a Japanese girl, it's a part of the path you have to go. So not anymore, but my mom's quite old-fashioned, and Yeah, I was 13 years old, and I was kind of like reluctant. I didn't want to do this, but because my mother said, "All right, do it." But that was my very first time to see the tea ceremony. I just loved it. Every single object we have like story or the history behind it. It's just the one calligraphy or the flower arrangement, the tea kettle, tea bowls itself, the bamboo crafts, the lacquerware, kimonos, right? So every single that you can find for the tea ceremony is very fine art. So that's another thing that we enjoy. So when you are organizing a tea ceremony or you invited to a tea ceremony, what we look forward is that you can always have the good time. That's why we keep training for years and years and years, that basically you never stop, you just keep practicing to create the best atmosphere, to make the best cup of tea for today. The most important thing is that just you really enjoy this moment. Like I just put a lot of love into my tea.
まあいろんな農作物が日本にはあるんですけど、まあいろんなね、仕事もある中で、やっぱり、なんだろうな、やっぱ基本一人で、どっちかというと一人で全てをしたいタイプやし、で、まあなんていうんですか、自分の責任の中において、全てが完結できるような、そういう世界を、夢見ていたんですけど、まあその中でお茶っていうのが、たまたまですよ。たまたま、アルバイトでわずかに来ただけやねんけど、まあ最初わずかっていう場所も知らんかったし、わずかがお茶の町だってことも知らなかった。その中で、たまたまここに来て、お茶と出会った。それがやっぱり僕の人間性にすごく合ってたわけですよね。まあ、ジャパンの中でも、日本の中でも、まあ、場所場所によって、静岡とか、鹿児島、プレフェクチャーとか、いろんな、産地があって、まあ、その中でこのオブブ茶園は、まあ、京都エリアにあるんですけど、まあまあ確かに、静岡とか、鹿児島とか、京都とか、いろいろ産地によって特徴が、お茶にも、土がも違うんですね。この気候とか、グラウンドソイルとか、すべてが違うので、味も、香りも、すべて違うんですよね。まあ、その中で、まあ、オブブ茶園は京都で作ってるんですけど、まあ、京都の中でもいろいろあるし。まあ、その中でですね、やっぱり京都としては、まあ、京都としてはというか、京都らしい、逆に言ったら、京都っぽい、京都はこんなんちゃうかな、みたいな、宇治茶はこんなんちゃうかな、みたいな、そういうなんか、自分のイメージみたいな、もうそれに近づけていきたいかなっていうところは、結局のところ、つまりは、お茶とは何なのか。 お茶とは、パッションじゃないかなって。情熱ですね。僕のこの情熱が、こう、うまいことこうシンクロするような、合わさっていくような、それがお茶なんじゃないかなって思うんですよね。
What is Japanese tea? One big innovation of Japanese tea is steaming tea. So the steaming process is really special for the other tea. So steaming tea is Japanese tea. Steaming can stop oxidation and tea nutrition. It's an antioxidant component. It's good for our health. So one of the reasons why Japanese people has such a long life, basically they drink a lot of tea. So I don't know how much affect each other, but I believe it has some relationship. 2012, after 10 months from the big tsunami earthquake in Tohoku area, we visited tsunami disaster area over 40 places during 2,000 kilometers driving. They survived because they were there. So many people died, but some of them survived, and we met them. And we served lots of tea for them, many places. And as they said, I really relieve to drink tea, and I forgot the feeling since these days, because they survive to drink water. For survival, water and tea is almost same, just liquid. But the big difference is just water is keep their life, but the tea keep their heart. So tea can connect each other, and tea can make their life more smooth and more heartful.
Both tea and coffee are vessels that help us to share moments with others. While I was focused on the way these drinks link us together, a reoccurring sentiment kept being highlighted while I was filming. The simplicity, yet overwhelming presence of water. It left me wondering what my hypothesized connected cup moments would be like in communities where water is really scarce.
Sungang kya sida gin korta da kinte kichomo ba mata ay kusudu ma ke meyo ba community ne kamanya ne akin ne kamanya ga sama dong no ten ne jal ba yeni mamanya na ngamu mata engang na jinon to mono kapen ne kamanya yo am yo nal ba yan kya da stress yo ba wona e to perna ba e ba me de spat kai dung to yage na wo na lo na wa tara na o ngishay ko mata engarnar kin na jog na yo kala inen me ko ni ngure ne jata na ko na panan papal ne weni adwa ngana shewa la shi
sida ndo munti ngama ta na duan ta ngorong na duan ta dwana tata aya gore ngata na buan mate la shumba na ko gol ta da garama ta ngera amman ga dinga ga dai gore bangin do na te kai man gi ne mutuna mamutana na ga din shida na ga ngorong na ge tani mata ndo ni jana ngera
Yol nena dogi yol baru silingi na bu silingi no imea nula nyong ko jet di nyong ka bisyari amu yol ono ka bisyari yol je ono da chas Naku yiolo naa mbarni ata ntoki yiolo kwetie na ina tare boroni natunji marko tumate na ina tare nilo nitumie nkaliku nabo ninyongu ina par ngoje njanga kabisha da tomon koto ntare tomon wada isi je poki kesi na mo ama tanga ngai yiolo mbarna sangai yiolo da mbarna ki jona do gacha nikirigi na ko na jigi mete bideni na kuni na ata ita kada tata dari tomon waja sini tomon ini dapat namir enggak berkunda berot namir gini nabu nala yang akhirnya kabisi na yang kata ni cek akanya ita kalau udah bangun ini aisyah tadi ni campur
cuma kebarat doni tu
Kari 20 liters
20 liters. Yes. How many times a day?
2 morning and evening. Mimi najua wakati mvua inanyesha alafu mbuzi watapata kitu ya kula alafu tena mvua tena bado ikinyesha mimea itamea mzuri. Nachanga vyombo, nafagia nyumba alafu natengeneza nyumba napika alafu tena naanza kwa unity nasaidia tu watu kuwachotea maji kuleta hapa tunaweza bafu na tunaweza choo.
Mimi nasema maji ni important kwa sababu kama mtu kama hakuna maji na mtu utaoga utanuka na tena kama hakuna maji ya kupika kama hujakula utaweza kufa na kama hujakunywa maji utaweza kufa na kama tena mbuzi haijakunywa maji wataweza kufa. Mimi napenda unity kwa sababu unity wanasaidia sana kwa sababu hakuna mwenye mwingine anayesaidia mama. Kwa sababu mama akikosa pesa ya kununulia watoto chakula, anaenda anapata wa mama kama wako na chakula wanamchangia wanampatia na hata huyo anachukuru na kama hakuna mwenye kuna pesa wanaweza mtolea pesa ya group aenda anunue chakula.
Ngonya ndara mdaga tu ngore. Yo natini vento no bondo mono, ne mata ne pe. Yo tini vento no bondo mono, kini ngona tini vento no bondo mono. Ameta nal payen ulta dakai tento mono no dong takando. Yo akan tomono ka pena vina ka ritu. Ni ada lekai ngone jo. Ngainya, yo nal payen bukan ta tomono kai turo. Kini mainyo ya jago chomote do ngai chukuli chomo ni. Na yo bagu yo tomono ka pe. Niki vina ni vina reto tono. Ami kaya tangan nado ake koyo, uga nake sumbai yo. Ni kaya nasi fura tono puna bagin jene, mata dal. Miki yo chakin jena yo no itu ne kaya to fura saidi chakin kaya. Anak itu kabisa, kami yo nanta li sana, kaya yo kai gulung binta li rumu kuci. Ni betul yo tungan bar lalu bagin, no nalagi ni jadi nasi lagi yo bol tungan itu masida. Jarai no bang jarai sugu ni kenjara nagari nela kanagi na toki lalu amonu jana dak kain jauh mati pakai nomoji itu gunagal tuan kalau mina dalu tu kayak gitu ni ada tu nagamu kayak kena ke jomel lo ngana jo ni guna baca itu saya dia di negara kalau nak dampar ni tu merantu gunu nela kena toki ayah nak itu sile pergi jana bamoto ye nomoji pergi tu guna kai to kai parra kai to kai to ada ni karule kai tu ngani ni kini nak ni tu kai shop nak bagi kerang puru ni kini nungu yo laina nyare yo na ugo tu gosu ni yo wara gosu mana mari yo bagi jaga ni chol kini na yo ba ko itbara ka yo na sampe na huja kasi ana ke bini gara shuzana tabia ngotoni amgor tabi bini yo na ke baro rasa be baro ngara na gor bini yo na ke chama rasa be chama bangara mata na yo na pake en yo kira sa baga bini ko na na ba ko inu no buida na yo ko yo ro na ba yindai ko to na Aku nak aja, saya dia kena kamu kan jadi nak tahu, aku nak taman jadi, ayo nak rugi nak aja sah. Ni kebena ni kijam yo bagian berita ni grup ni kijam butuh mati rata-rata. Aku metokin tak game ayo, yo ake ongkai, yo dah sambur mesam lebayan ni kera pogi. Ami yo dah anak kata kera imet. Nada napa kau nada lebayan, kesam la yo kare ni mesam kuna tu yo. Napa yo baca tu grup ni kesam la yo konto yo. Ami yo dah ke kuning kerang naik depa tata secondary. Na yo apa tanah itu kecadi ini timba kesam la na kera pogi. Aduan na de don ni tejo ye ka amma ko na to silingin ni ka ke chore kilal tungan na yo be me chore kilal tungan ni Ikeji siap neji yolo kuna kubun batanda yolo kuna kete per kubun bato school yolo kuna nubun batalda.
Kwa sababu chai ndio inakuchemsha akili. Kama unakunywa chai kichwa itakuuma. Kunywa chai asubuhi utasikiza za mwalimu. Utacheza. Unalala tu hata marafiki wakikuita mcheze. Utaka kucheza kwa sababu hujakunywa chai.
Kama basi umetoka pale nyumbani, kama umetoka kwenda kuni, ukiwa umechoka unakuja unapikiwa chai unatoa basi nini? Choka.
Kama tisha idasiran na dana ka tinggal nama tusa ini nama tipa yol dana mata chai manyanda bas ne jadi
le kuitan minta mata ye kau
juga
ini mini baru
maman sana na kawa kita mata na angka ngole na ya kita ni jeju ngole mama ta kawa
ambara kuita mata ye chai
kama tisha kana na chai na kai tangara mezi na kawa yol ngole ta mata na la ni kinyira na ikirigire woni.
She say like her first time to take the coffee was yesterday like
yo la ba ki yara yo la man kai yara nyai la man do kun kai ni ko nda ki yara ne ka to no yo ba ga na ma ga yara nyai la man no yo te yara sha ma ma ni ki yara ne ka ma.
The women reminded me, and they live by the principle, that we are stronger together. Daily rituals impact our lives in a variety of ways. Coffee will always be the drink that allows for me to connect with others and to connect with myself in the mornings. But without water, there is no tea. There is no coffee. Water truly is the first connected cup. It is the basic source of all of these connected moments. As humans, we have physical basic needs like food, shelter, and water. But we also have the mental and emotional need for companionship. And as I look back, I can't help but think, these people, these stories, these connections, it brought so much color and vibrancy back into my life.